Okay, let's make a start. Hopefully you all know that you're here to join this special webinar called Introduction to Financial Literacy. This is a webinar to help explain a little bit more about the collaboration between Wealthbrite, which is my company, and the Law Society. We're absolutely delighted to be working with the Law Society to provide this opportunity to lawyers in England and Wales. So I'm just going to flick through, and please do shout if you, for whatever reason, can't see my slides, but hopefully you'll see a short agenda for today. In the course of the next 40 minutes or so, I'm going to take you through a little bit of information. First of all, explaining a bit about why we've built this program. So why is financial literacy important within the legal sector? I'm going to spend a bit of time explaining and discussing, and I would welcome any questions you have, about how financial skills actually support not just your personal development, but also your professional success. Then I'm going to give you a bit of an overview about what the course actually includes, what you'll get, and what you can expect to learn along the way. And of course, I'll leave time at the end for any Q&A, because I'm conscious you might have specific questions that you'd like to have answered. So we'll make time to do that as we go. So a little bit of background about Wealthbrite before we get in. For those that don't already know me, my name's Carla Hoppe. I'm the founder of Wealthbrite. Now, actually, when I started my career, I was a corporate solicitor working in London. But along the way, I kind of had a varied career. So I've worked for the most part of my career between law, corporate and financial services. I spent the vast majority of my career at PwC and then at EY, so two of the global big four. I've worked in the UK, in the US and in Europe. And here's something I learned as I went through my career. Actually, a lot of professionals are very busy, time poor, highly educated, but don't always feel that confident when it comes to managing their personal finances. And that's true even within the group of professionals often working with clients, advising clients on how to manage either personal or business finances. So Wealthbrite was set up with really a mission of changing that issue, right? Our mission, as you can see on the screen here, is to create a generation of financially savvy lawyers. Why are we motivated to do that? Well, because we fervently believe in the fact that doing so will not only support lawyer well-being, and we know how important that is to improve our well-being in the workplace. And we'll touch on how finances and well-being interact shortly. But it also enhances performance at work. And we can, again, look at how financial literacy skills aid your productivity in the workplace. And we'll also spend a little bit of time considering the links between personal finances and professional conduct. Because, of course, what we want to ensure is that financial know-how can actually go to support and mitigate the risks of financial misconduct. And you'll see on the screen here just a few names of the types of businesses that we've had the wonderful opportunity to partner with over the last 3 years since we started our work. And of course, today, special shout out for the Law Society for giving us this opportunity to bring our new Essential Skills for Practice course to all of you. So I want to kick things off with a quick poll. So Stephen will launch a poll now saying, I want to get a sense check on where you're at. How confident are you understanding the link between financial literacy and professional success? For some people, this poll might appear in the chat if you can't already see it on the screen. But I'd just love to get a sense check of how you feel about this question. And here's why. I'm going to retest you on this same question at the end of the session. And I hope to see that your answers will have improved. Now, if they haven't, that would suggest that I have not answered something that you want to know more about. So make sure that as we go, if you do have questions, don't feel shy about popping them in the chat box, and make sure you do ask any at the end as well. because this is a really great way of making sure that you've actually gotten what you wanted out of this session. You've all come today curious about the course, so I'd love to make sure that you walk away with the information that you want to have answered. Okay. Thanks for those who've taken part. I don't know if Stephen can give me a view of what the average response was on that poll. I wasn't able to see that at my end.
So the average response on that poll was 3. So 62% of people were on 3. On 1 was 6%. On 2 was 12%. On 4 was 12%, and 5 was 6%. So the average.
Okay, so we've got some room for improvement, which is fantastic. Well, here's hoping we see a jump at the end of this session. Thank you. Wonderful. Well, here, listen, I've turned our attention now to legal sector analysis, and I said I wanted to help set the scene about why we're running this program and why we believe financial knowledge is actually an essential skill for practice within the legal sector. And you'll see on this screen a few statistics. Now, if those of you who may have heard of Wealthbright are following us, you'll know that annually we conduct a big piece of research looking at the state of financial well-being within the legal sector. And what we do is we sort of put a survey out there and we invite lawyers from across the UK, across all elements of the career spectrum, to tell us 3 things. We ask them, how confident are you managing your money, and how is it impacting you day to day? So we think about the link between money and mental health. We also ask them about how they might be managing day-to-day spending, things around budgeting, and also how they may be dealing with credit. And then we ask them about financial resilience. So this is about asking them how much they may have in terms of an emergency fund and their planning for the future. And what we found is that for a lot of lawyers, there's some conflicting feelings and behaviours happening. So on the one hand, we know that lawyers are really keen to upskill in this area. They want to be managing their money really well. A lot of lawyers will tell me, I know I've got a great opportunity. I'm in a well-paid job. I want to make the most of this opportunity, not just for me, but perhaps for their families as well. But oftentimes they feel like it's hard to try and figure out what they should be doing when. And as a result, what we also see is that unfortunately there are some indicators of poor financial resilience in the system. So why do I say that? Well, take a look at some of the data on the screen. We see that nearly 48% of lawyers admit to regularly having to use credit to pay for essentials because they've run out of money at the end of the month. And 36% of them say they've got less than £1,000 in cash savings. And this year, when we looked at the link between money and mental health, what we found again was that there was quite a high level of financial stress and anxiety in the sector. As you can see on the screen here, 72% of lawyers reported at least one sign of poor mental health in relation to their finances that was affecting their ability to function at work. And I'll come on later to show you some of what we heard and also kind of consider what that means in practice for people when they show up to work every day. So these data points kind of are the thing that drives us at Wealthbright to say, well, we know we can do better. And doing better means giving people access to really quality financial education and the ability to speak to experts when they need to help them navigate their own personal financial journey. So why does this matter? I've teed this one up already. A couple of different things, right? So there's a real correlation in the data. So I don't know how many of you guys would resonate with this, but if you're worried about just making ends meet, it can be very, very stressful, right? And one of the key things we looked at this year was the correlation between people who say that they struggle with actively budgeting and then those that reported having to dip into credit or pull into savings because they've run out of money at the end of the month. And we found that that was a very high correlation. So you'll see on the screen, 77%. So this is one of those key data points that has kind of led to us designing our course in the way that we have. because we know that if we can increase the percentage of lawyers who are able and feel confident without it taking a lot of time to budget regularly, we know we can reduce this number of instances of lawyers who might be having to rely on expensive lines of credit to just pay for those everyday essential items. So this is one of the key data points that has resulted in the content that you'll learn on the course. Here is again some of the information behind that link between money and mental health. And you'll see on the screen the most commonly reported symptoms that people said they were dealing with. We see high levels of anxiety, sleepless nights, a lack of motivation, and depression. And what I'd say to you is, I guess it doesn't take a big leap in terms of understanding and appreciation to recognize that if you're struggling with any of those things on a day-to-day basis, that actually it's going to be really hard to show up and perform at your absolute best in the workplace. I don't know about you, but anytime I've had something nagging at the back of my head or sitting on my shoulder, something that's bothering me, be that in my personal life or whatever, I've always found that that can have an impact on, well, how attentive am I being? And this year we asked lawyers that direct question. I know 34% of them said, yes, I feel that financial worries are currently affecting my performance at work. So again, one of the key modules in our course is all about learning how to recognize problem financial behaviors, spot the signs of financial stress, and actually gives you a whole host of resources about what you can be doing to manage and reduce these symptoms. So it's really practical guidance. Now, I mentioned already this link between personal success and professional success. And I don't know how many of you on this call may be aware of the fact that actually, when you were admitted to the role, you would have been required to undertake a character and suitability test. And as part of that test, there are a number of conduct rules in the Code of Ethics from the SRA that you're required to adhere to. One of those is around financial conduct. And those financial conduct rules continue to apply to solicitors throughout their career. So when you have an annual requirement to kind of reaffirm your competencies as a solicitor, you are and as part of that, reaffirming that you're in compliance with the financial conduct rules. And those financial conduct rules are really looking at your personal finances. Why? Because if your personal finances were to become in a dire situation, you might find yourself, exposed to undue influence, potentially at risk of conflict of interest. And, in absolute worst case scenarios, as you can see from some of these headlines, these are all stories that were reported in 2024. You can see that there are instances when things can go catastrophically wrong. Now, what we know from these kind of headlines is that oftentimes what hit the headlines is actually that sort of like really dramatic outcome of something that would have started as a much smaller, mismanagement or struggling with personal finances. So again, in our program, you'll come to learn a little bit more about how your professional responsibility also means that you are required to think proactively about satisfactorily managing your personal finances. And that's why these building blocks that we cover in our Introduction to Financial Literacy course are so important, not just for you at home, but also for you at work. So how are we changing things? I've showed you kind of the state of the nation in law at the moment. I've showed you some of the creaks in the system and why it's so important from a professional context. So what are we doing about it, and what might you get access to if you join our program? Well, first of all, we know from all the work that we've done over the last 3 years working in the legal sector and with other professional services bodies that financial literacy delivers. It delivers a real improvement in confidence. We've seen in our own data that when people are given access to the learning that maybe they missed out at school or at home, they feel a lot more confident being able to answer basic questions about managing their personal finances. We know it helps reduce stress because oftentimes financial stress can come from, yes, real-time financial problems that maybe you're dealing with, but oftentimes we hear from junior lawyers about a sense of overwhelm. There's so much information out there. I'm just not really sure what I should be doing right now at this stage of my career, or what's the right move for me in the circumstances I find myself in. Financial literacy is also a skill for life. This is a skill set that you can not only utilize in your own life, but you can pass down to generations. And we know how important it is to continue sharing the knowledge and skills that you'll learn on this program. We also really fervently believe that financial know-how can help with career progression. It can help you with understanding your workplace pay and benefits better. It can help you with negotiations, maybe for a pay rise, thinking about how to best utilize your bonus. As I mentioned, this is a key skill set that's going to help ensure your continuing competencies when it comes to your professional regulatory obligations. And last but by no means least, it really helps with helping you understand law firm economics. Because of course, when you understand the importance of cash flow, managing budgets, and making sure you're on top of the day-to-day from a personal perspective, it will help you better understand how law firms work in practice and the importance of cash collection, WIP management, or invoicing with clients. These are all the same principles, just applied in a slightly different context. So what's involved in the course? So the course, as we've designed it, is a short form course. It requires approximately 5 hours of your learning time. We've designed the program in such a way that if you join the cohort, you'll get access to all of the course materials up front, but you can complete them at any time during a 4-week period. So you'll have 4 weeks access to the course material. And what's included in that is these 4 modules. So module 1 will help you understand the psychology of money. This is really important because, as I already said, we know that there's no shortage of financial information out there already. So what is it that stops people feeling more confident in doing the right thing with their money? Oftentimes it comes down to narratives, beliefs, and mindsets, and that's the psychology of money. So we'll help you understand what that means in your own personal circumstances, and you'll be guided through actually kind of adopting a growth mindset when it comes to your money. Module 2 will take you through some of the basic building blocks of managing your finances. So that will be budgeting, managing debt, and saving. Module 3 will spend time helping you better understand the link between money and mental health. And again, very practically focused, will help you understand the resources that are available to you to manage your financial stress, both by yourself and, if you do need it, by accessing other resources that are available to lawyers. And finally, module 4 will help you. You'll be very proactive. You'll be doing a lot of, so you'll get access to a worksheet that will be your own. You can take it away and continue to use it beyond the length of the course. Within that, you'll be able to design your own savings plan, emergency fund plan. You'll look at your debt management. You'll look at your personal budget, and you'll also be able to use it to set your own personal financial goals. So again, this isn't designed just to be a course. I mean, if you want it to be, by all means, you can sit and watch some of the videos and interact with some of the written material and sort of tick through it. But we've deliberately designed this, by lawyers, for lawyers, to give you something really concrete that you can take away and actually continue to use on a day-to-day basis. So I covered a little bit in this already about what you get. But what you get is the 4 weeks access to a bite-sized course. All of our learning modules are delivered in really short pieces. You'll be able to log in and out of the system. It's hosted on our own platform. So I'll spend a moment telling you about that in a minute. But essentially, you can come in and out as you want, and it will always remember where you were in your course. So you don't need to worry about completing it all in one go. It's accessible via Android and iPhone or on your laptop. We will have 2 live sessions throughout the 4 weeks with our own in-house experts. So we have one kickoff event on the day the course begins, which is the 5th of March. And then we'll have another one 2 weeks later, which will be designed as an Ask Me Anything session with one of our in-house experts. You'll also get access beyond the course materials to our community platform. So this is all in the same place, but there's a community channel where you'll get access to a supportive peer-to-peer community. These are all other lawyers that have been part of programs either past or current, where you'll have access to our chat. You'll be able to submit any questions you have for our financial expert. You'll also get access to all our podcast libraries and all of our insight articles. So again, there may be questions that you have that are outside the scope of the course, but you might be able to find them in some of our other materials. And you'll get ongoing access to all of that community stuff beyond the lifetime of the course. So the course materials you'll get for 4 weeks, but you'll continue to have access to all of our community resources on a lifetime basis. So that means you'll be able to see when we run future events or when we bring you new materials. Once you've completed this course, if you do choose to join us, you'll also receive a certificate of completion from both the Law Society and Wealthbright, which is great because you have some bragging rights, and we'll show you how to share that if you're part of the cohort. And it's quite important to say that this program is suitable for CPD. So if you are looking for another training program that you can include in the context of your ongoing CPD requirements, then this is also something you can include. Okay. So I'm going to retest this poll, and then I'm going to take a pause because I want to just see how people are getting on and whether anybody has any questions. So Stephen, I wonder, could you rerun the poll, please? Okay, I'm going to keep going, but please do continue with the poll if you haven't already responded. It's really helpful. So this is my invitation to you now to be part of the change. If you are someone who has always been curious about learning a bit more about managing your money, perhaps you've been to one of our events in the past, or maybe you heard about us through the JLD. However you find yourself here today, I'd love to invite you to seize the moment and book now to join our course. The cohort begins on the 5th of March. There's a live kickoff event at lunchtime. It's not an issue if you can't join that. It will be recorded. It will be shared with everybody who has signed up to the program. And then, as I said, you'll have access to all of the learning materials, and hopefully we'll see you at one of the live events throughout the program. So how, $1 million question, how do you actually join the event? Well, first thing you need to do is you're going to need to navigate to the Law Society page for this program and buy a ticket. Now, I've just dropped the link in the chat. We do know that there are a couple of technical issues happening today. So what we're going to do, if anyone can click the link and let me know if it's working for them. But if for whatever reason that link isn't working for you right now, what we're going to do after this session is that we're going to send round a follow-up email to everybody who registered for the webinar, and we'll send them the link for accessing the program. Once you've purchased a ticket, you will be added to our cohort list, and we will be sending out emails to those who are joining in the course of the next couple of weeks. So there'll be a couple of emails sent to folks who are part of the program, just to let you know what to expect, how to make sure you've got the live event in your diary, and we'll also kind of make sure you know how to access our platform, because this one will be delivered on our bespoke platform rather than through the Law Society's platform directly. So we'll make sure you've got all that information, and then it's just a case of making sure you've got access, joining. You can drop us an email if you have any questions. We'll be really active throughout the 4-week period, so at no stage will you feel like you've been left alone or by yourself. And all of the Wealthbright team will be kind of really looking forward to talking to people who are taking part of this program. So that is about as much as I wanted to share today. That only leaves me to finally ask if anybody has any questions. So over to you. Does anyone have any questions? Is there anything I haven't answered that you wanted to know about this course? Please don't be shy. Now is the time to get answers to whatever you want to know. And if for whatever reason you're not comfortable asking questions in front of others, you're very welcome to follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me, drop me a line, and you can always ask me a question directly after this event. So I'm going to leave it open for the next 3 or 4 minutes in case anybody does have questions. But otherwise, that brings us to the end of this webinar. So if you are satisfied you got all the information you needed and you don't have any questions, then I'm giving you a little bit of your time and your day back. We finished a little earlier than planned. But thank you so much for coming along and giving me your time. And yeah, I hope to see you all on the cohort too. Thanks, everybody.